What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFon Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. What if confidence wasn't just a feeling, but a science you could master? Today's guest has made it her life's work to decode confidence at the brain level. Alyssa Dver is the founder of the American Confidence Institute and the ERG Leadership Alliance, a two-time TEDx speaker and award-winning author of 8 incredible books, who's advised leaders from Amazon, the World Bank, and MIT. Named one of the top 10 pioneering women leaders and a Stevie Award thought leader, Alyssa brings bold insight, practical neuroscience, and contagious energy to help us rethink what true confidence really looks like. Alyssa, welcome to the show.
I am honored, Tara. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We met on your podcast. I was a guest on your show, and it's an incredible podcast, by the way. I encourage everybody to hop on over to whatever platform they're on and just quickly follow your podcast because it is so, so good. And thank you so much for having me as a guest.
Of course.
You know, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile right now. I'm so inspired by your work. I love what you do, blending neuroscience and confidence. And this is really my jam. So I think for anybody who's listening right now, who's a confidence geek, this is going to be one you listen to a few times. Here's something else I love. You are a confidence educator and spokesperson at IT Cosmetics. That is so fun and exciting, Alyssa.
Oh, thanks. This is coming from a woman who rocks the red lipstick. So I'm going to take that one. Thank you.
Yeah. And we were talking about lipstick. We were talking about makeup. We were talking about just like the little thing that makes you feel good, makes you feel confident, makes you feel like you want to stand out and just, be different, be you, be authentic. And for me, it was red lipstick. I found it. I loved it. We can share that story too. And it just gives me a little confidence boost. But I would love to hear from you. Maybe people are listening to this right now and saying, okay, Tara, red lipstick's not my thing. It's not for everybody, right?
No, absolutely not.
So what are some things that can make us just feel really good that we could try out? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to kind of rewind us a little bit. I know we're just at the beginning here, but rewind in terms of the little things that go on the outside, as you know, and everyone is going to expect me to say, are like the cherry on top. If you're not doing inside work, it doesn't matter what you do. You can go to 100 executive presence classes. You can strike a power pose. You can count to 5. You can do all these things, walk with nature, take a breath, all these folks out there telling you to do these things. And the problem is, and I say this a lot on stage and it gets a laugh. So you'll have to laugh for me since it's just you and I to hear talking. But, you walk into an interview before you go in, you go to the ladies' room, you strike that Wonder Woman pose or whatever it is, count to 5, walk outside. And then you walk into that interview or you walk into the office with your boss to ask for a raise. What happens when they say no?
Ooh.
Where does your confidence go? Well, it goes right back into the bathroom, right? And you're, oh! So the reality is is that we have to work on the inside. And what I mean by that is, as my books talk about the neuroscience, the takeaway, the spoiler, is that it's a choice. And it's a choice once you understand your values, your needs, your wants specifically, that you say to yourself, I'm going to do X, whatever it is, ask for a raise, put on red lipstick, blow off work today, whatever it might be, right? Start a podcast, all these things that we question, should we do? if they align with what you value, need, and want, and you're clear about that, then you can make the choice of being confident, because it's not something you feel. It's not something that you can literally put on. It's something that you have to make a decision. I am or I'm not.
Ooh, that is I just wanna rewind something real quick to what you said, the choice of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is gold right there, and maybe a lot of people, they heard it, but they didn't retain it, so I wanna it bears repeating that this is actually a choice.
Yeah. So I'm going to
Talk about
flash
that.
you. Confidence is a Choice is the name of the book that they
Yeah.
certainly grab a copy, Amazon and otherwise. And my TED
Mhm.
Talk, my first TED Talk was called Confidence is a Choice. So it's not something that I throw out lightly. It is very much proven scientifically. It's very much the basis of everything that I teach and the Institute puts out, because in that moment, and we call it the amygdala moment, where you are all of a sudden like, oh no, can I do this? Should I do this? Am I able to do this? What are people going to think? All those things that run through your head, through your amygdala, that is sensing that fear. And the fear could be something physical, of course, but, emotionally, in terms of, what's going to happen if I put on this red lipstick? We'll use your example, or, go in and ask for a raise. What could happen? And if you are not consciously saying to yourself, they might say no, and if they say no, I'm okay with that, or I'm gonna give them this more information. You start thinking through the rationalization of it only by choosing to be confident that this is the right thing to do. Right. So this is maybe again a funny example. Lipstick. You walk into your room, you put it on, and you're I like it. I think I look awesome, right? And you might be saying to yourself, but what if people think I look silly? What if other people don't like it? And you're you know what? I like it. It makes me happy. You made a confident decision. You feel confident about the lipstick, right? So it is that moment where you stop the amygdala from wigging out, sending the message into the bottom of your brain, where you can actually be less well, you will be actually less thoughtful. Your brain stem is going to go into that fight or flight mode, panic, survival. Oh, I can't do this, right? But you're going to prevent that from happening by being thoughtful and making the choice that, no, what, I can do this. And what's the worst that could happen?
Not long ago, I was a corporate sales director, unknown, overlooked, no network, and unfulfilled. But when I discovered the power of personal branding, storytelling, and confidence, everything changed. I went from being invisible to a 2-time best-selling author, international TEDx speaker, and top global podcast host, reaching thousands every year. And I want the same transformation for you, to be seen, heard, and recognized as the thought leader you truly are. From TEDx stages to top podcasts and even TV segments, I help entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers amplify their message and build unshakable confidence. Visit bestbranding.solutions and let's build your dream together. Yes, absolutely. It's I love that. It gives you agency, right?
Oh,
Over the level of confidence you have, because I think a lot of people, they assume that because they're not confident now, that it's an insurmountable mountain and that can't be climbed, or even worse, confidence is for someone else. Confidence is for other people. I don't have confidence. It's not something it's like they separate themselves from ever having it. And they tell a narrative of that it's just for somebody else, or like success is for
right.
somebody else.
Right. Well,
Have you
that
heard
drives
that?
me bananas, because
Yeah.
reality is nobody's born confident. It's not a genetic trait. It's not something you inherit. And it doesn't necessarily come easily either, right? You don't just all of a sudden get lucky and get it, oh, they were very fortunate. No, no, we're all able to get it. And we're actually able to get it no matter what our circumstances have been. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy and instant, but it is something that you can get The other thing, and when I say get, you can create, you can choose it. And when you say you get agency, you have to take agency. You have to have agency. You have to say, you know what, this is my brain and this is the way I want to feel. And the reason I say that is because people do expect that if they do certain things, they get certain accomplishments, certain degrees, certain certificates, certain TED Talks, certain whatever it is, whatever that mountain is that they're looking at. And when they're done, they're going to be confident. I have some bad news for folks. It doesn't work that way. If you don't have confidence, you're never going to get over that mountain. And once you get over that mountain, oftentimes you're like, well, I did that, but I don't feel confident because you never made the choice to be confident in the first place. So, my famous example is Tiger Woods, right? Guy practiced his brains out. He was very confident and competent in his early days as a golfer. And look what happened. He screwed up his life. He went against all values of himself and society, lost his game in the process. And it wasn't because he lost all that work he had put in. It's because he lost his confidence. Once he got back on track, he started playing golf better. So confidence is a requirement for success. And if you don't think of it that way, you're going to be sorely chasing success and confidence for a really long time.
Yes.
Sorry to be such tough love today, but that's the truth.
I love it. I love the tough love. I say that confidence is the foundation for all success in life, right?
Yeah.
And if we're so often chasing that outcome of wealth, or chasing that outcome of building an empire, chasing that outcome. But if we don't have the confidence as our foundation, people will come into your life and they're going to disappoint you, and it's going to erode your right? It's going to erode your confidence, and all of these outside influences are going to happen, and they're going to slowly, erode. And it's so important because, that's one of the importances of surrounding yourself with the right people. Watching your circle too, right? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the best things you can do is celebrate people that fill your confidence and liberate those who don't. And I say liberate because sometimes you have to let go of those people that are always taking, because they're not going to leave. You're probably, and Tara, I don't know you that well, but I can tell you're a very kind soul and you probably are very generous. I think, givers and enablers are, and I like to consider myself at least a giver. Enablers are somebody who's always helping other people to do things, right? And it's not bad, but it's bad when you allow people to take advantage of that. And it's hard. It's hard to be like, I don't want to be friends with that person anymore. They're just taking from me. But this is my old lady sage wisdom. Life is short, and we have talents and gifts that we were given, well, no matter who you are and what you are, but you can't optimize those if other people are taking advantage of you and sucking your energy and taking those gifts and not appreciating it. So liberate them so they can go somewhere else. And then you can make room for people who really do appreciate leverage and then amplify what you're giving to them. And confidence is contagious. So if you give confidence to somebody else that's really eager and willing, and if there's a will, there's a way. If there's no will, there's no way, right? But if somebody's willing and they want to learn from you and amplify your confidence and give it to somebody else, what a beautiful thing to do. But you can't do that when your resources are down and somebody's kicking you in the gut all the time, right?
Oh my gosh, preaching to the choir here, like 100%, right? You're speaking my language. I am a giver. I love giving. I'm a generous giver.
Mhm.
But there's also an intention behind giving too that I think is important, like to give without attachment. Because it's interesting though, if you give, even if you have the expectation of getting something in your turn, at what point are you a giver or just a taker? So I think even the intentionality of giving is important, right? But then to your point, not surrounding yourself with negative people that drain your energy, people that you don't feel good around. I mean, listen to your body, to your intuition as well, right? And like, what do you think about that? What are some signs? I feel like it's on a vibrational level sometimes, right? You can just feel the vibe, and it's hard to put into words. Can you help me with that?
Yeah,
You're
well,
fine.
it's funny, the person that kind of encouraged me in a big way to start the American Confidence Institute, it was her birthday yesterday, and we don't talk to each other, but maybe twice a year on our birthdays at this point. And so I happened to talk to her yesterday, and Lynette used to call it the itchy feeling.
The itchy
And
feeling.
itchy feeling, like,
Ooh,
you almost
good.
kind of want to come out of your skin a little bit. Somebody walks in the room, and it could be an uncle, it could be anybody, right? It could be somebody you're related to, or somebody you work with, or even somebody you don't know. All of a sudden, you walk up to the airline person, and they're in a terrible mood, and they're snapping at you, and you're like, "What?" Right? The itchy feeling. And in our courses, we talk about people you're allergic to, right? Because when you're allergic to something, your body reacts. Right? You sneeze, you get itchy eyes, whatever. There's a sign from your body saying, not good, don't like this, right? So whatever that tell is. But and I should say and I want to go back to your comment about giving. See,
Yeah,
this is a hard truth too.
right?
Givers give, and they don't think they expect anything in return, but what we do expect in return is a sense of belonging. Because underneath all the confidence stuff is good old Abraham Maslow, 1940s, who
Yeah.
basically said we all have a sense of need to belong. And so, you can make an argument that there really isn't anything as just charitable giving. Even Mother Teresa, to some extent, probably needed a sense of belonging. And the idea is that we're not doing it in a way to necessarily be um, what's the right word? We're going to help each other with words today. Like visible in a way that, like, I don't want the credit, but if I help somebody and it makes me feel better because I can, it's like a superhero, right? It's that invisible cape. I just help somebody
Yeah.
do inside. So it
Yeah.
builds on your confidence. It makes you feel good and that you belong and you have a purpose and you matter. All that's good. You don't necessarily need to showcase it, right?
Yeah, but it's good to get feedback from people that you've helped because, oh, I love that. I like that. I love talking about giving. It's a area of real passion and even purpose for me. I really love just genuinely giving and from your heart and not telling anybody about it. Like, you don't have to shout it from the rooftops, but
Right.
it is nice, to your point, to be acknowledged for it and to get a little energy back. It's just reciprocation. It doesn't mean that that person has to give even equally what you gave to them. It's
Yeah.
just literally an acknowledgement and
Thank you.
reciprocation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that you say that, I'm thinking in my mind, how many times have I given and not been reciprocated at all or acknowledged? And it does hurt a little bit, right? Even
Well, yeah.
though you don't want it, you're trying not to have attachment to it. It does sting a little bit.
It does sting a little bit. This is a great lane to be in because every talk, my TED talk, my books, they all end with the greatest way to get confidence is to give it away.
Oh, I love that.
Now, with that said, it changes your mindset to think that person may not appreciate or realize it. Look, your kids or your friends, you do it all the time in a way that they don't necessarily say, "Yeah, Tara, that was awesome," right? But in your heart, in your head that you have that superpower. You have the ability to give something to somebody, confidence in particular, whatever it is. You gave them a compliment. You gave them a a sense of accomplishment that, oh, that was great. What a great play that was. I really loved how you did whatever it is. And you have the ability to do that. And so celebrate it yourself that you have that gift. And
Mm.
the people that are just takers, 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 and never say like anything. I mean, eventually you're like, I'm not going to go play this, right? But I think, the people that really do appreciate it will come back and reflect that back to you eventually. But even if they don't, they don't. You know, one of the things that I'm going to bring this up because it's hilarious in my brain is I did a talk, let's see, I guess about 3-4 weeks ago now. It was 1,200 women in Wisconsin. A phenomenal thing. And I joked on stage, I said, here's the hardest lesson for most women, particularly givers. Not everyone's going to like you. They're just not going to like you. So no matter what you do, what you give, what you perform, they're not going to like you. And out of 1,200 people in this audience, and I said it on stage, there's going to be at least one of you, maybe two or three, given the odds, that are not going to like me. And I know I'm going to know that because you're going to put it on a feedback form because you want to make sure that I know that you didn't like it. And everyone laughed. And I was like, it happens every time. I said, and those are the ones that I come back and I say to my husband, "Oh, you like me?" He's like, 1,100 women loved you and one of them didn't. Are you like, what? So here's the thing. That's true. You are not going to please everybody. You can't, because somebody's jealous, angry, upset, didn't sleep, hungry, like thousands of reasons why at that moment, whatever you gave them, they're not going to appreciate. They're not going to like. And we have to stop trying to be liked by everyone, because it's a waste of energy, like we've been talking. It's a
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Not everybody is always ready to receive. I think some people may not even have the capacity to receive. And I don't think we think about that as givers, because if you're a giver, you have an ever increasing capacity, right? I feel like when I give, it's an energetic, again, it's an energy to it. But not everybody has capacity to receive as much as you do. So I think that's interesting thought as well. Um, you know, I would love to touch on the science of confidence, because I like people to know that this is a science. It's not, and by science I mean neuroscience.
Mhm.
That this is something that's been proven, that we have, research to back this up. And again, so they can go to that next level and step into the level of confidence that they really want to deep down inside, right? Walk us through a little bit of the neuroscience of confidence, if you wouldn't mind, how it helps us, how it rewires our brain and can create new beliefs, increase confidence, and just better presence, I feel like. What do you think about that?
Well, first, let's be a little bit broader, because neuroscience is one of the three types of sciences that are baked into brain science. And brain science then also enwraps psychology and sociology. And so, yes, the neuroscience brought us brain scans, functional MRI, and other technology that we can now see what lights up in the brain, such that we know that when we're in a state of fear, again, somebody's ego, our ego is going to be hurt, or we're scared about something. The amygdala makes that lights up and says, okay, I got to triage this to another part of the brain, because the amygdala's function is like an alarm system, right? It sounds the alarm, but it's going to send it then to a particular part of the brain to deal with. And it either sends it to the basement, being the brainstem, and the brainstem's core functions are what we call the autonomic functions. So it's the things that we do that we're not thinking about: breathing, our heartbeat, when we start sweating. Our body does those things because the brainstem says, we got to do this for survival, for self-regulation, for homeostasis, right? So the brainstem, very primitive part of the brain, in the sense that it was the first in evolution, cave people, fight or flight, get the boar or run from the boar, right?
Wow.
And then subsequently, it's the first part of the brain in utero that gets developed. So it's very strong, very fully developed. When the amygdala sends the alert down there, it is a very reactionary thing. And fight or flight, in the business world, for example, somebody gets very aggressive. They might say, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant. Right? Those kind of reactions, that's all brainstem reacting. Or somebody gets very quiet. They don't speak. They're almost like a turtle trying to hide. That shy behavior is also survival, right? Fight or flight. So, and by the way, people put the fawning, the giving in there too, because it is a sense of survival. So brainstem, that's option one, fall into the basement. But if the amygdala is not weak, if you've trained it to say, look, stop, when you feel that itchy feeling, that sense of uncomfortableness, stop. And that's where the breathing, that's where the superhero posing and all those things can come in. Just stop the amygdala. Stop. Some people say hijack the amygdala. It's not hijack, it's stopping. Stop. And let's put it upstairs. Let's put it into our prefrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain right behind your forehead part, your skull. And the prefrontal is where all the executive functions are, where our real thinking happens. And in that case, we can think through the rationality, the worst case scenarios, what could happen, what are my options. So we get a lot more thoughtful, a lot more intentional when we're in our prefrontal, because that's where all the control is. That's where the agency lives. So that motion, where that moment that says, stop, I'm pushing it upstairs, that's where your agency, your confidence is. That's where all of a sudden you say to yourself, I can do this. It may not be a perfect outcome. Like, in other words, I may not get the promotion, but I can handle asking for it.
Ooh. Again, confidence is the foundation of success right there. Right there. It doesn't mean the outcome is determined,
No.
right? But it's the confidence to ask. It's all about the ask. It's all about the ask. I have told my kid, she's, I have one daughter. I've told her since she was little, it doesn't hurt to ask, because I want her to put herself out there. I want her to be comfortable with negotiating and things like this, right? Confident.
Yeah. But, I think, Tara, the other side of that is ask it with confidence, right? Ask it as if I have no issue asking this, right? So there is an element of, I don't want people to think, oh, they can be like, is it okay if I have promotion? Like, don't ask that.
That's a
Right?
bad question.
That's not the right app. It's, I'd like a promotion and here's why. Right. So again, you're not going in with this, I deserve a promotion. It's not that. This is, I am entitled and earn this promotion and here's why. So there's this confidence of, this is why I'm asking and this is why I deserve it. However, on the back end of it, the manager comes back and says, I understand that. And I don't disagree, but I'm not giving out promotions this year, or I need you to do these things. That your confidence is not crumbled when you leave. It's more like, okay, I got more data. I'm going to go and think about how I want to handle the next step. And you might quit. You might say, you know what, I'm going to do that thing. That's cool. But you're not going in with your tail between your legs, and you're not leaving with your tail between your legs, because you've made a decision that I'm going to go in and ask this. And, we could start talking about overconfidence, underconfidence in this extreme. But the reality is, once you make that choice, that amygdala says, you know what, I'm ready to ask for this promotion, and I'm going to bring this data with me so that I can explain why. Oof, that's the confidence space.
Well, I love how you're bringing up something else that's celebrating your wins, talking about your wins. First, you have to acknowledge them. I think so many of us don't even acknowledge the wins that we do have. We only pay attention to like what we're quote unquote lacking, or again, deficient in some kind of way, according to our own perception, right? Which may not even be rooted in reality, by the way. But we're telling us all of and paying attention only to the things that we're lacking, we don't have. And it's rare sometimes to find folks that actually pay attention to the wins they have and are able to present that, with confidence. That seems like a rare person now that we're talking about this person out loud, because I feel like so many people don't pay attention to enough about what they do right. What do you think about that?
Oh gosh. Well, I think a lot. I've written a lot about it. So I'm going to boil it down to a 2-minute explanation, and I'm going to give a real tool and tip to everybody who
Love that.
wants to practice it. So Lynette, I mentioned her birthday yesterday and all. She actually came out of the sports coaching, psychological coaching, and she was working with a lot of athletes, Olympic athletes and professional athletes. And small wins is something that they've used forever. And a small win could be a microsecond off a swimmer's time, right? Small little things, but it's a win because they've done better in some way and they're going in the right direction, and they celebrate that progress. So they've known this forever. We baked it into everything we've done since the beginning. We're on our 10th anniversary now. So all our tools are like kind of take some of that into consideration. So there's 2 things that I'm going to give as tools to your audience. One is what we call a confidence collection. And a confidence collection is a file, a folder virtual, I prefer, that is accessible at any time, any place. So on your phone, maybe it's a Dropbox folder, Google folder, it doesn't matter where you keep it. And I want you to get in the habit of anytime somebody sends you a LinkedIn recommendation, a nice email, you hear a song, it makes you all happy. Anytime you're feeling that endorphin kick in, right? That's what's happening is you put it in your folder and you start building a confidence collection. My confidence collection now is about 100 pages, and I'm not kidding. It's 100 pages. So because anytime somebody says, Alyssa, that really meant something to me, thank you. Or, again, it could be something like a comment that somebody said to me, I'll type it into the folder. When I have a moment of self-doubt, I'm going on stage, I'm doing a TED talk, whatever it is, maybe I have to go have dinner with my mother-in-law, right? Whatever it is, I'll pull out my confidence collection and just read down a page or two. And I'm like, okay, I got it. It's that endorphin kickback and a reminder that no matter what happens next, I'm awesome. All these people told me that, right? So easy to do, cost something to do it. That's tool number one. What do you think of that one, Tara?
I love it. It's very similar to a gratitude journal, even just writing just a quick little note. And then you look, the great thing about this is that you can look back at any point in time in this journal and get confident again. Feel that confidence, feel that endorphin rush, feel that positivity, feel that belief from that other person. Because I love this. I'll just say this. One of my dear friends and clients, he always says, show me the receipts. When that negative voice of self-doubt kicks in, and inevitable, because it happens to us all, right?
Sure.
When that inevitable voice of self-talk kicks in that says, you can't do this, you're not ready, someone else did it better than you. He says, show me the receipts for when I bought into this lie. Show me the receipts that I can't do this. That's powerful. It's like an automatic reset to say, you know what? And then if you do keep a receipts folder like you're talking about, you can see the receipts for the contrary evidence to that argument. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think there's a difference here, though. You said it's like a gratitude journal. The practice is similar, right? But it's different because it's not, I'm grateful for things that were given to me or that just happened to me. This is stuff that you've really earned, right? And I mean, earned in the sense that somebody said, Tara, your podcast is fantastic, right? That's not, I'm not grateful for a podcast. That's, shoot, I do this, this effort, you put time and money into this podcast and somebody really liked it and that they liked mine, right? Like that's a different, so don't expect you're going to have thousands of them tomorrow. You're not going to have 100 pages tomorrow. I've been doing this for like, at least 10 years. But you start building it up and you start looking for it and you start asking, can you give me a recommendation on that presentation? Can you give me, some feedback on that meeting we just had, whatever it be. And it's okay to get that feedback, positive or negative, but when it's positive, grab it, put it in your confidence collection. There's another technique or tool, if you will. We call it 3 little things. And it's similar. It's again, a way to, in this case, once you fall off the horse, like say you go in and you don't do so well in that promotion ask or whatever, and maybe you didn't do your best performance thereafter, like you got mad and you lost control, whatever, it happens again. This is life and we're human. So 3 little things says 3 things in your life. Just pick 3 things. It can be anything. It could be a song. It could be something you eat. It could be something that you do. And my example that I use a lot is Wegmans, the supermarket chain, has this wonderful bread that I love. It's called Marathon bread. It's gotten very expensive though. Wegmans, please make it cheaper. And I love Marathon bread, but because it's so expensive, I save it for special moments that when I need a reminder that life goes on, this will pass like other things have passed in the past. I grab a piece of that bread, I put it in the toaster and I sit there and I go, okay, you know what? I fell off the confidence wagon before because I remember eating bread like this before and I'm okay. And after that incident last time, I did some pretty good things and I fell off again, but I'm going to do some pretty good things going forward. So it's a reminder that crap happens, I mean, it's just what it is. But having 3 little things, they have to be very accessible. You can't make it something that you have to go overseas to get or something accessible, and just have them handy. They're kind of like, it's like patting yourself on the back and be like, oh, it's okay. We had Wegmans marathon bread before. We're going to be okay.
How much is this bread?
Well, I went to go buy some the other day. I think it was $7 a loaf, and the loaves are not so big, so I better not fall off the wagon too much, Tara, because it's going to get expensive.
If you send me if they have it on Amazon, I don't have a Wegmans near me. Maybe I can order it online. I don't know. I'm going to get you a loaf of bread. But you have to send it. It's my gift to you.
So funny.
You have to send me the link, though.
It doesn't have to be that expensive. It can be a song. If there's a song that just reminds you of a great time that you had in some party or with a person or whatever, you put the song on and be like, oh, last time I heard this song. It could be a friend that you call that has the right thing to say. Or you say, when I call you and I say marathon bread or whatever the code word is, they're like, just remind you that you're awesome and you're going to be awesome tomorrow, and give yourself maybe a little time to think about, what did I do that wasn't great? How can I do it better next time? Don't use that as a beating up time. Use it as a learning time, but also okay, next time I'm going to do it this way. Because I have some other sage news, right? You're going to screw up. Everybody screws up. It's part of who we are. It's what we do. It's how we learn. It's how we get better. And we're all works in progress to the day we die. So, give yourself a little grace, and a little marathon bread doesn't hurt.
I've got to try this bread. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Oh, Alyssa, it has been such a fantastic episode. I loved everything you said about, building confidence, that there's a science to this, that anyone can achieve confidence, and a really overarching message of this is a choice. So I love that. Where can everyone, of course, I'll put it in the show notes, where can everybody find more about you online?
I'm so grateful for you asking. So AmericanConfidenceInstitute.com. You'll find, we have the podcast there as well as every other channel out there, but you can certainly plug into there. The podcast is called Real Confidence. All the books and the information about me is right on that website. And of course, my name has this interesting, unique spelling, which makes me very Googleable, but at the same time on LinkedIn, I'd love to hear from anybody there. We'd certainly post on all the other social channels as well. So appreciate that.
Of course. Awesome. Well, folks, I hope you took at least one gold nugget with you today of how to build sustainable confidence, because it really is the foundation of all success in life. If you are striving for success in 2026 and beyond, it's getting towards the end of 2025 as we're recording this episode. So if that's something that you're really looking forward to next year and going forward for the rest of your life, confidence is a great way to start. Alyssa is a great person to follow. We will catch you on the next episode. Take care.